And who are they gonna sell their houses to, Ben? Fucking Aquaman? Hi, my name's Jackson McMurray.
My name is Adeline McMurray.
Do you not get that joke?
I don't, and this is No Nerds Allowed.
Okay. And there are no nerds allowed.
I don't know what that music sounds like. I probably should.
It was a thing that was going around Twitter for a while where someone took a clip of Ben Shapiro being like, so what if sea levels rise? What's to stop people from on the coastline to just selling their houses and moving somewhere else? And then someone says, sell their houses to who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman! And it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It was all the rage for a brief moment.
Also, am I right? Freaking millennials can't focus on one joke.
What were you about to say?
Just be glad you got one joke. You don't need another joke. This is lost on the podcast listeners, but Kate complimented my lights. My lights are
good lights. Okay.
If they get too hot, they'll just randomly turn off.
Well, I'd rather they turn off than explode.
Then yeah, burn my house down. But they won't burn my house down because I'm not doing a gender reveal party.
How are you
guys? Relevant. Oh, it's fucking Smoke City over here, dog. I can't. You go outside and you stop breathing.
Okay.
It's not
right.
hell. Hell empty. All the demons here.
So, this is our first podcast episode post
ever
Tenet. I saw Tenet on Friday night last week, and I've been stewing on it for 7 days. And I've just been waiting to let it out.
Jackson just
this is the equivalent of me farting. But it's a podcast.
Do you have a ham in the oven, Jackson?
So, Tenet, I have a lot of very complicated feelings about it. Because it is simultaneously completely unwatchable and the sickest shit I've ever seen in my whole life. It is somehow both at the same time.
Okay.
Because, like...
Yeah.
So, like, when you're watching a complicated movie, you know, like Inception, or, like, the original Mission Impossible, you're like, I don't really fully understand all the nuances of this whole scenario, but I can just choose to kind of turn off my brain because I know they want to, like, get that box. And I can just... Yeah, I can just enjoy the pursuit of that box for now, and maybe I'll pick up on what's going on a little bit later. You know, that's like standard practice for that kind of movie. But Tenet is like literally so obtuse that I couldn't even do that. It was just like, there was like the second act of the movie, almost the whole time I was just like all I could do is just throw up my hands and be like, I don't fucking... No, I don't have a fucking clue.
I don't know. Time is it?
Part of the problem is the way that he mixes his dialogue, which has come under fire, which would not be a problem in normal theater circumstances, but when you're listening to the dialogue through an FM radio in your car, and there's very important exposition happening on a boat, and the water noise is mixed very loud as a stylistic decision... It's not optimal in those conditions. Granted. But the stuff where like people who are going backwards are fighting with people who are going forwards is so insane.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't even know how you begin to do that. Like to choreograph it or like just visual effects wise. I don't know how you make that happen. It hurts my brain. Like just trying to think about if I were like, I want one guy, they're like interacting with each other physically, but one of them just moves as if he's in reversed footage. And it's so insane.
Yeah. Jackson, you have two cameras, and one's going back in time, and one's going forward.
But that's the whole thing.
And
right.
You just overlay
I will admit, it's 2.5 hours long. The last hour is much clearer. At about the hour point, they like give you a breather and they're like, okay, here's where we're at. And you're like, okay.
Let's explain
and then
some
shit. there are a few things.
There
are a few things that you weren't supposed to know what they were that sort of get retroactively explained later in the movie. And you're like, oh, that's what, okay. But it also, there's a certain art to...
That's why that guy exploded.
There's a certain art, though, to having your viewers understand that they're not supposed to know what something is, you know? If that makes sense. Like, sometimes you see something you don't understand and you're like, what a mystery. And sometimes you see something you don't understand and you're just like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't get that. Right.
What's going on? Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff where it's like... Because they're very specific about what things go backward in time, right? They're like really specific things and they're like, only a few things can do this. But there are some parts where he's like looking out the window and he just like sees a car going backwards. And you're like, but how could that be? And why is that relevant? And what's going on with that?
But that's not... But that's not supposed to.
But then like later in the movie, you're like, oh... Because it's this whole weird time travel thing, at some point in the future, they start going... At some point, like, later in the movie, they start going backwards in time, and then you realize that they were actually that car that was going backwards, and you're like, oh, now I kind of get it. Yeah, and you kind of figure it out. And the last like, big action sequence, without, like, spoiling anything specific, is, like, this whole, like, Desert Commando, like, military sequence, where, like, half the soldiers are going forwards in time and half the soldiers are going backwards in time. And it's so crazy. It's so cool.
That is cool.
But there's a certain point, like, an hour into the movie where you're just like, I don't have a fucking clue. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I can't watch this anymore.
I just don't know. Yeah. Where are we? What are we doing? All I know is that sometimes we go backwards.
Yeah, and I'm like sitting there afterwards.
It's cool, but we go backwards.
Like trying to log in on Letterboxd and being like, rated out of 5 stars. And I'm like, I don't know. Like,
backwards
simultaneously a 2 and a 5. I don't know.
Stars? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So this has been Tenet Talk.
So hey, Jackson... Yeah, do you know what other movie is 2.5 hours long?
Aquaman?
It's Aquaman.
Aquaman. So this is
2.5 Gregorian hours.
This is going to be one of those episodes.
Can hours be Gregorian?
I don't know. This is going to be one of those episodes where we just get in a fight. Just a heads up for the listeners.
Well, no, stop, hold on. I don't think this movie is bad. See, okay, so... Everyone on the entire planet has said that this movie is bad.
I don't think that's true.
And so I came in knowing that everyone on the planet has said it is bad. I've only heard people say that it's bad. But then you came in and you're like, Adeline, I fucking love this movie. Like, here's the thing, Jackson. When you love something, that doesn't always mean that it's good. So I've had this double think of, like, Jackson thinks that this is good, and I trust my brother's opinion. But also, sometimes my brother's opinion is kind of a joke inside of an actual opinion.
I mean, look.
So...
I'll be completely...
I watched this movie.
I'll be completely honest about it. I do really love this movie. The extent to which I am performatively excited about it is a little bit of a bit. Because of, like, how much people tend to not like it, right? But basically the only thing that I'm not, like, genuinely super sincere about is, like, just the level of my enthusiasm. Because all the things I'm going to say on this podcast, I believe. And I think this movie fucking rips. And I want everybody to know that I think it's fucking good, and I'm the number one Aquaman stan.
I'm the number man. Here I am. I am the number man.
Because that's what I'm going to be for the next hour.
Well, because, like, I believe that you believe everything that you say. But we have opinions like this where it's like, we love Spider-Man 3 more than anything. But kind of for the wrong reasons. And that's the same reason that we adore Batman vs. Superman, is because we half love it for the correct reasons and half love it for the incorrect reasons. And, like, that's what I thought this movie was going to be. I thought this movie was going to be the funny Justice League that we never got. But it's just... I don't like. I just like. I don't like. I already said this. Like, I don't think it's bad. I'm underwhelmed with what I expected.
Okay.
Because like this movie goes like balls to the wall, like visually.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes they trip themselves up with stuff because they're going balls to the wall, that they trip on their balls, because sometimes I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, we're having a fight to the death with the whole kingdom watching on a circle of fire, but also over there's an octopus playing the bongos, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I love that octopus, but why is he here right now? Instead of some other time when it's okay to have an octopus playing the bongos.
It's the jellyfish dress. And
I love him.
knives.
I support him in his dreams, but why is he here right now?
That's what I love about this movie. There are so like, here's my big thesis. So we talked a lot in our Rogue One episode about how like good that movie looks because everything feels so real and tactile and weighted and like realistic, right? It looks so much more like reality because they're using a lot of really responsible production elements in order to make it look as real as possible. And, you know, it's sort of, the VFX are very conservative in that movie. They're like, only things that we absolutely can't do practically we're going to do with VFX. I think that is one of the great ways to do VFX. I think the sort of opposite converse approach is Aquaman, where, like, it doesn't look, like, in terms of, like, how realistic it looks, it doesn't
look good.
I mean, look, it does look good. It doesn't look realistic, but it looks awesome. It is sacrificing...
like, aesthetically,
it is
the
sacrificing
that
sort of the tactile realness for sheer volume of design elements and creative, like, color work, you know? It's one of those things where I'm trying to think how to express, like, it makes you realize, like, the sheer amount of design work that went into this movie makes you realize how lazy some other blockbusters can be sometimes in terms of, like, how much they show you in, like, alien worlds. Like, you think of, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like, oh, we're on a planet, but we're kind of only going to show you, like, the fountain. And then we're on another planet, but it's just, like, a guy's house and, like, the area right outside that guy's house. And then you look at Aquaman, and it's, like, fucking entire worlds. They show you, like, fucking 6 different, like, discrete civilizations with their own, like, cultures and physical appearances, completely visually, just through these, like, sweeping, expensive VFX shots, where, like, you get so much, like, information about the world totally non-verbally just through these giant, ludicrous, insane, like, VFX animated set pieces, you know? That's what I love about this movie.
Yeah. Well, but what's difference between that and a movie that you hate the visual effects of, like Alice in Wonderland? Like, what's the differences between those two visual effects?
Because Alice in Wonderland looks like dog shit. It doesn't look good.
Aquaman sometimes also looks like dog shit.
Aquaman
Sometimes you look
like
at a shark and you're like, that ain't a shark.
That's not what I'm talking about.
There's a lot of times when you look at things and they don't look
See,
good.
that's not what I'm talking about. I don't care about whether the shark really looks like a real shark as much. You gotta understand that it's VFX. It's impossible to think that it is. Like, the entire final sequence of this movie is basically animated, with, like, the exception of literally, like, Jason Momoa's face. Because his suit is animated, and his hair is animated. So it's, like, literally, like, a window, like, just around his forehead.
He's got his face in a wall, and it's just his face. It's like that thing where John Cena goes, are you sure about that?
Exactly.
But it's just Momoa.
What I care about is, like, the compositions and the color theory and, like, the way everything looks in relationship to each other, and it's consistent and it's beautiful, and the ideas being presented in the world are satisfying to look at. I'm sorry, Ian, but maybe you like Alice in Wonderland, but I'm about to take a big dump all over Alice in Wonderland. I think Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland looks like horse malarkey. It's like I think,
but it's conveying a very specific aesthetic ideas.
I think all the things that it's conveying are annoying and bad story-wise. I think the world is boring. I think the colors are ugly. I think the VFX look like technically horrible and things don't fit in with each other. The whole movie.
Okay, but you have to be fair on that movie because it came out in like 2011.
No, I'm talking about aesthetically with the decisions made. That movie looks like a bowl of garbage. It looks so bad, Adeline. Don't try to pretend like Aquaman doesn't look way better than that.
What about that part where they go to the Mad Hatter and the Mad Hatter's like, what's up? And he's like, yo, this is where the place burned down. And it's all like creepy. What about the part at the end where it's like the chessboard and they're like fighting and there's like the Jabberwock? That looks cool. And like it's blood. It's like purple. That's cool.
Adeline, that scene looks like Fart City. It looks like a giant cartoon.
It
took a big fart all over the battlefield.
Choice.
No. Don't pretend that I'm wrong.
The point that I'm making is that Tim Burton is using visual effects to the nth degree, not to make it look realistic, but to make an aesthetic decision, and that's exactly what Aquaman is also doing.
But I think the Tim Burton decisions are bad aesthetic decisions. They look like...
But it doesn't matter if you don't like a decision. That's what he's doing.
Sure, I guess.
If you're saying somebody builds a house that's good and someone builds a house that's bad, you can't say that either of them, like one of them didn't use a hammer. They both used a hammer, even if they built something different.
Why this is the point of conversation. I'm trying to say that I like Aquaman.
We're sorry.
I don't know.
I am saying that I think that while I do like a lot of the aesthetic choices that they make, I don't like a lot of the aesthetic choices that they make. I think the colors in this movie are beautiful. I love the colors. I think they made the mistake of making Atlantis too alien. I don't like that. I don't like that the Atlantis guys look like Cybermen with water in them. I don't like that.
They look like bionicles. Aren't they so cool?
But that's cool, but they look like they're from Mars. And, like, I don't like that this civilization that, like, exists in ancient Greek times that's supposed to be so traditional. But then they go there and they've got, like, flying ships and they've got fucking laser guns. Like, it's... The point of this movie is that they're so traditional that they, like, killed their queen and have been huge racists this whole movie. Like, they're that traditional. They're so traditional. But also, we got big laser cannons now because while we're, like, conservative about that, we're super not traditional about 10 billion other things. Even though this whole movie is about tradition. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It feels like two ideas that are headbutting in order just to do something cool visually. And I don't think it makes sense with the story.
Right.
And I think... And I don't like the costumes in this movie.
You're wrong.
I feel like we're going back to the problem that we've had with costuming Superman, which is that things that look good in a drawing don't look as good in real life sometimes. And sometimes when you just put somebody in, like, spandex armor with a bunch of clinky things on it, it doesn't look good. It looks chunky and it looks weird and he looks like an action figure.
I want him to look like an action figure, though. It's what
that scene where... That scene where Aquaman gets arrested and he's, like, up with the king, and the king's, like, in that, like, full gold outfit. He looks like he's a plastic figurine that my 4-year-old cousin would chew on. Like, it's not... I would argue... I think it looks
Here's
bad.
my defense of that suit at the end. Kind of doesn't suit him, right? But don't you think that being king kind of doesn't suit him? He's a little awkward in the role. Hasn't quite grown into it yet, so maybe it's a little weird at first. Just saying. Yeah. For matching
I like
function.
how when he gets angry, the mask that he's wearing, the eyebrows go down on it. I think that
King Orm, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know any of these characters' names.
Come on, the Ocean Master?
But no, he's not yet. I thought he wasn't, I guess.
He's like, call me.
He has to kill the crab
Call
man.
me the Ocean Master. So good.
Call me the Ocean Master.
And then an octopus plays the drums. It's so good.
And then it's so good. So here's the thing. The black manta, doesn't do anything in the movie.
True, doesn't
and
really.
Also his costume is bad.
I don't think his costume is bad.
And also he is the only two African American people in this whole entire movie are him and his dad. They're both criminals. They're both villains. And they both get murdered in the most horrifying way possible twice. 2 times they do that.
Wait.
They just make a fucking meal out of killing
Wait,
them.
what? No, the other one doesn't get murdered.
Manta?
No.
The dad and Black Manta.
Did you not see the post-credit scene where he's alive and he's talking to Randall Park?
No, I didn't fucking stick around for the end credit scene.
The
I'm just saying the
credits were
dad
cool. What's wrong with
gets
you?
like fucking... the dad gets fucking stabbed through the shoulder, and then he fucking gets hit, crushed under a thing, and then he drowns and blows himself up. And then the son fucking gets his ass handed to him and like just fucking gets annihilated, destroyed. And then fucking gets a chain wrapped around his neck as he gets like beat down the side of a cliff until he lands in the ocean.
Target
like
ball
this POV
nunchucks?
shot where you just see his head.
Target ball
I'm saying
nunchucks?
it's cool. I'm saying it's horrifying. No. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm saying it's very cool. But I'm also saying it's incredibly violent. And the only people that get so incredibly violent are the 2 African American characters. That's all I'm saying.
A lot of what I have written down are just like fun design things that I like. Like, I love all the animals underwater where they have like the seahorses that have like legs with like webbed feet.
Yeah.
I love the fucking trench boys. The trench boys are so good.
Trench boys are cool.
And the
I wish
crab
there was
folks,
a tiny bit more variety in trench boys, but I do like trench boys.
supposedly.
Like, if there were, like, 3 different types of trench boys, I'd be totally fine. But there's just one trench boy. But he's a very good boy.
Supposedly, they're working on a Aquaman spin-off that takes place entirely in the trench, about the trench boys. So I don't know how that would work.
Trench boy is just gonna be like, "Hey, what's up, Joseph? Nothing much, Gary. Whoa, what's that pink light?" Is that just gonna be the whole thing?
It's gonna be sick as hell though, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So can we? I want to just go through this movie chronology. My hot take for this movie was that if it was edited down to like a short, quick action adventure quest movie, I think I would love it a lot more than I do. I think it's so long, and we spend a lot of time on things that I don't think we need to spend time on. Like, I don't think the Black Manta needs to be a character because he literally doesn't do anything in the movie.
No, yeah,
that
fair.
whole thing where we're like wandering around in the desert is like supposed to be building up their relationship, but like I'm not 5. I know that they're gonna get together, and we already have that montage in Greece. Like the whole scene in the desert is just nothing.
I thought. Okay,
like,
sorry. Okay, it's Italy, first of all, but I was confused because you said Greece, and I thought you just
sorry.
meant the movie Grease, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
What?
it takes place in Greece.
Like, we already have that. We already have that montage in Greece. It's like, okay.
Yeah, about what love is. So, like, we've all watched Grease, so we don't need any more romantic movies. We're good.
Right.
But, like, yeah. And the whole...
Like, imagining, like, Grease being somebody's, like, end-all, be-all. Like, we did Grease already.
Pinnacle of
okay?
love.
Why are we still doing these romantic movies if we've done Grease?
Get the fuck out of here. Get out.
I don't like Before
Fucking
Sunset. I only like Grease.
150 First Dates? I can't think of any romantic movies. I got The Notebook.
You know it's 50 first
Elf?
dates, right? Not 150 first dates.
I want it to be more because I don't get that movie.
A million first dates. Okay.
Billions. But like the beginning of that's a reference no one is gonna understand. The beginning of this movie, we take our damn sweet time establishing the mom and the dad. This movie
that's sweet.
loves...
You don't like that?
No, this movie loves to give you so much information without actually telling you anything. It loves to do that. And I do think that this scene is sweet. It feels like a Hallmark movie, and she eats a fish like Giselle does in Enchanted.
Yeah.
She does a joke that everyone saw coming 5 million miles away.
Whatever.
There's a good puppy in it. That's a good puppy. I like that puppy.
And Nicole Kidman learns to
But
love.
even that whole, like, even, I'm fine with keeping that scene, but that scene should be way shorter, because it's so long. And then the guys come in from Atlantis, and they're like, yo, you're the queen, you gotta come back with us. And she fucking kills all of them, and then is like, okay, I'm gonna go back to Atlantis, though. Bye. Right. So why did you kill all those guys if you're going to Atlantis?
All right, you know what? Fair. That's it.
She just fucking kills those guys. It's like, all right, bye.
Those guys were probably right, though. If we're being honest, they probably.
You know what? That's my bad.
They do have a point.
I love how they're like, she got sacrificed for she got executed for having a half baby with somebody who wasn't the king. And it's like, oh, well, maybe she got executed because she killed 6 people for no reason. Maybe that was
right,
the crime that got her in trouble. Maybe it was the murdering 7 people.
Right. Look, I mean, here's
but
my pitch.
That's just a little thing, but still.
I mean, not my pitch. This is my pitch to keep it the same because it's good. Fucking Tamora Morrison is very handsome and charismatic, and Nicole Kidman is very beautiful and charismatic, and they're both sweet people. And you know what? Maybe it's fun in a big fucking superhero tentpole movie to have 8 minutes of a sweet little Hallmark movie romantic story complete with Labrador Retriever and sweaters. It's good. It's nice.
It's 10
I like it.
full minutes before we get... Do you like the part where... Why is it that every child that plays Aquaman before he's an adult is just the worst actor on the planet? Why are the kids so bad in this movie?
What's that one line?
Really good. What about when the look?
What's that one line that the teenage Aquaman says that made me laugh?
Stop lying to me! When will I ever be good enough?
Everything he says is pretty funny.
It's really good. But the little kid at the aquarium where the bullies are like, "Are you fucking talking to fish?" And they push him into the wall. Then he's like, "Stop!" And then the shark comes. It's really... I want to slap that kid. I would bully this child. I get it.
No, those kids are the kids who are like, Aquaman sucks. Wait, he talks to fish? How could he even fight crime with that? That's what those kids represent.
And get you by a shark. Well, but did you notice how in this movie he wasn't fighting a bad guy in the middle of New York City? Did you notice that? Because that's not where Aquaman is applicable.
Well, yeah.
That's the problem when people that's why people make fun of Aquaman, is because in the 60s they were just he's in New York City and he's fighting crime, and it's no, he's not actually, because put him in the ocean and he can do shit. Why are you putting him in New York City? What's wrong with you? Anyway.
The thing about Aquaman, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Aquaman is that for so long, I mean, look, he was just one of the superheroes in the 50s, and then in the 60s you started getting the Super Friends TV show, and it starts becoming more mainstream, and that became the joke in culture for decades, is and Aquaman just runs around he's so useless, he talks to fish or whatever, and for decades that's all anybody could think of when they think Aquaman. It's Super Friends, him and his little green Speedo running around with a trident being wait up for me guys or whatever.
I'm good. My shark friend. Can we go to an aquarium?
So then at a certain point in the late 80s, when Peter David started writing Aquaman, he was like, here's what we're going to do. Fucking eyebrow scar, fucking harpoon hand, fucking full beard. We're going to make Aquaman fucking tough as nails, not your daddy's Aquaman. Which I think is...
This is your mom's Aquaman.
Which I think is so funny.
A winky face.
It's just so good. And they don't give him the harpoon hand in this. I wish he had the harpoon hand.
No. I think that would be a little distracting. If he's got a spear and a harpoon hand. You can only have one.
But I don't know. I just think that's so funny that they were he's going to be fucking hardcore now. And then eventually, I don't know if he was next, but eventually Mark Waid took over and he was like, okay, but what if we didn't have to do it like that? What if we just tried to take Aquaman seriously as a character? And that's sort of the modern like comic book approach to Aquaman. Is just like, he still kind of looks like he does in the 50s. He's a guy and he's got blonde hair or whatever, but we're just doing our best to like take it at face value and like,
we're just gonna use him correctly.
we're just gonna like tell interesting stories in that zone, which I think is the right decision. I am generally not a fan of like butch, tough, harpoon hand Aquaman.
Yeah. Aquaman. Here's the thing: when comics get too dark, they stop being fun. Sometimes.
Okay, yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it's not fun anymore. It depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fact that it's dark and gritty is the fun thing,
yeah.
and sometimes it's not fun.
It's
a line, and you gotta find it, and you gotta play with it. And then you find out when you go too far, and you come back a little bit. I think Batman. I think Batman movies are just now figuring out that they gotta come back a little bit, just a little.
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
We all love gritty Batman.
Did you watch the new Batman trailer?
I haven't yet. I'm a bad nerd.
It's not like what you're describing. It looks like a fucking David Fincher movie. It looks like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, that's fair. But that's different, though. Yeah. Like, I feel like with Batman, we're just fucking going for it.
Right, no, yeah.
And that's fun.
There seem to be a lot of, there's always a lot of discussion about the Batman. About, like...
this guy that we call the Batman.
Yeah, about like whether he's getting too dark, what Batman should be, like all this kind of stuff.
No one knows what Batman should be.
Yeah, well, but there's a lot of people who have a lot of animosity towards like the dark and gritty Batman.
Yeah,
which I have never really been able to relate to because as much as I love when Batman is lighter and more fun. I still think, like, it's been noted many times by people smarter than I, Glenn Weldon, namely, who wrote that book that I read, that, like, everything is Batman. All versions of Batman are, valid, and, you can pick and choose and do whatever you want. Like, Batman can be everything to everybody who wants it. And, and me personally, I think, like... It's I don't know, but the people who talk like that tend to act like dark and gritty Nolan Batman doesn't count. Like, except if it goes too dark, that's the wrong one. But it's like, no, I think gritty, hard-boiled, fucking violent Batman is just as valid as any other. Like, I don't think that is like any less interesting of an idea than making it goofy. I think it's all cool. Batman's cool. Yeah, is my take. Well,
I understand the people's. I think the hatred of the super gritty Batman is... I understand it. I don't always agree with it because I like those movies too because they're good movies and I enjoy them. And like even like the comics and stuff, even if I don't read them, I know that sometimes they get grittier. And it's like... I think for some people, it's the hatred that has just become 100% of Batman culture for a little bit. It was just all-consuming, only gritty. It just became like that was the only Batman, was the gritty Batman. Like, that was just all-consuming. The image of Batman was the gritty Batman. So the people who didn't like that, it was like, actually, your version of Batman isn't Batman anymore, And I think it also has to do with the type of people that glommed onto super gritty Batman, because it's the people that glom onto a lot of things. Right. It's just like they didn't like the culture that embraced super gritty Batman, Can I don't like this movie.
No, fuck off. It's good.
But like, it's like...
Think of the Trench Boys. Think about the Trench Boys and the Velociraptors.
I think about the Trench Boys. I don't fucking like the Velociraptors. We don't.
No, come on. It's cool.
No, I don't.
They go to the Earth's core and there's dinosaurs
you have to hate
in there.
It in Aquaman. If you hated that in Scoob, you have to hate it in Aquaman.
No. I didn't hate
These
that.
Are the rules.
I mean, look, it's not the same thing.
How is it not?
Because it was annoying in Scoob, and the movie around it was bad. It was not the fact that they went to prehistoric times that was the bad part. It was, like, everything else around it. What, Adeline?
Okay. I'm just
You could make a movie where they go to prehistoric times.
But they don't go to prehistoric
center
times.
Of the earth,
they go to a place
dinosaurs
where there are fucking dinosaurs, and they don't interact with any of the dinosaurs. They just show you that there are dinosaurs, and then we go fucking talk to the Kraken. But fucking why?
Yeah. is sick. Because it's sick as fuck. There are
fine,
pterodactyls flying around.
Your mom
they
got
go
teleported
underwater?
to dinosaur land. Yeah,
Yes. They go to the core of the earth and there's dinosaurs in there.
So they go underwater and then they go to the center of the earth and then there's fucking dinosaurs there, but they're not underwater. They're in the ocean, but it's in the center of the earth. And there's fucking dinosaurs.
It's
and
a
then
big
you go
cave and there's
underwater again.
crystals.
You go underwater in the waterfall again and you're underwater again because the Kraken's there. And then you come out of underwater and you're in the center of the earth, but there's water there. There's no water at the center of the earth. It's all magma.
Adeline?
Yes.
It's science fiction.
I know. There's a lot of underwater magma in this movie. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, totally. What do you mean? Like fissures and...
Is that a thing?
Yeah, like underwater volcanoes and...
I guess I just think, isn't that just superheated, like, chemicals and water and stuff? It's not actually, like, molten rock? Or
no, it is.
Rock underwater?
There are
just dumb.
underwater volcanoes. That's totally a thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there is probably more in this movie than would be realistically...
But underwater volcanoes don't spew magma.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I'm just saying that magma is a plot point, like, 4 different times in this movie. Magma was more of a plot point than I expected it to be.
It's sick. Atlantis is, like, on a volcano, and it looks fucking awesome.
I'm just saying.
There's that big...
There was just
they
more
have the
magma
duel
than I
and the
expected,
whole
that's all I'm
stadium.
saying.
The whole stadium with, like, all of the kingdom of
it's
Atlantis in it is
cool.
lit by jellyfish and lava. It's so sick.
Jackson. I'm not saying it's not cool. I'm saying the way that we get there is weird and flawed.
I don't care. I don't care at all. It's so sick. That's all I care about.
Okay,
is that it's sick.
great. Then you don't have to care, but you can't say that my opinion is wrong just because you don't care. Jeezum.
You're getting too
I
defensive.
hate you.
You're getting too defensive. I'm just being positive about a movie
Okay,
I like.
the
I'm
second
just hanging out
I'm
being happy.
getting too defensive. So here's the thing. The next thing that happens after we watch the Hallmark movie is that now we're on a submarine, and Black Manta and his dad are taking over the submarine, but we don't know yet. And it's like, oh, what the fuck is happening? Why are we here? Mm. But then Aquaman comes to save everybody.
I like Aquaman.
But they keep fucking... The thing about submarines... Aquaman. The thing about submarines is that I'm fucking terrified of them. Because they're a pressurized just thing underwater, right. Millions of miles underwater, and we all just have to accept it. But they first thing we do when we go into the submarine is that we just shoot all of the walls and all of the dials and all of the control panels, and nothing happens. And then we punch a few more people into control panels, and then Aquaman fucking takes the submarine at the bottom of the ocean and just pushes it up all the way, and nobody dies because it's a pressurized thing that you're suddenly making not pressurized anymore, and nobody dies. Nobody gets the bends.
Okay, sure, yeah.
It's just my personal fear of submarines made me very aware of everything that they were doing in the submarine. So when they're just punching shit and setting stuff on fire and just skyrocketing to the surface of the water, I'm like, no, this submarine should have exploded by now.
What actually happens when you get the bends? Do your joints hurt?
I think, don't you die?
No, you don't die.
When you get the bends?
I don't think so. Does anybody in chat know what happens when you get the bends?
I thought, what's the bend? I'm gonna Google what the bends are.
Because I know what it is. I know it's the fluid in your joints expands. I don't know what that actually means practically. Do you just get joint pain real bad?
So it's just any injury caused by a rapid decrease in the pressure that surrounds you. So, other guys can during high altitude around pressurized area can be. So, how to avoid the bends? So, it's when all of the stuff gets sucked out of your lungs and your joints hurt, I guess.
Keisha says paralysis.
You get paralyzed at the bottom of the ocean and then you die.
No, you wouldn't get it at the bottom of the ocean. You get it at the top of the ocean because you're depressurizing.
Well, you get it at the top of the ocean, but then you're there and then you die.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they got the bends. Who's to say? Maybe they just got mild bends.
Well, not to get fucking political or anything, but I like how Aquaman is how, you killed innocent people, you deserve whatever happens to you, and he proceeds to save a bunch of Marines whose job it is to kill people.
Okay.
Which is cool. That's cool.
They're just Russian guys. I don't know.
They're in a submarine with torpedoes on it. I don't think they're innocent. I don't think they're clean of not killing anybody who didn't deserve it.
They're doing
Just
research.
saying.
They're researching torpedoes.
With their big guns. They were researching what happens to a man when torpedo.
The effect of...
And then we write it down, and then it's science.
The effect of torpedoes on men.
We don't know. We have to find... No one's ever done it before. We have to figure it out.
I do kind of agree with you that I think... like, honestly, I think you're right that the movie is too long. I think if you cut out all the Black Manta stuff, and you cut out the, like, scene in Italy, maybe you can keep the desert scene... just to like function as some buffer that works as like character development, you know. But you know, the Italy scene is almost entirely based around Black Manta, and the submarine scene is almost entirely based around Black Manta. You would cut like 20 minutes out of the movie doing that, and I don't think you really need.
Well, because you have all these scenes where they're like putting shit together, like doing puzzle stuff, and being like, "Oh, we figured it out." And then those things are fun and cool. I like adventure movies where we got to do like little puzzles and we figure it out, and you're like, "Oh, that's cool." Like I like that stuff. But then we take 20 minutes to do every single step.
Right.
And it's annoying.
I also think...
And, like, okay. I don't like Mira. 90% of it is because of her wig. But the rest of it is because I don't like it when when a movie introduces a character and you're immediately like, okay, so that's the love interest, and then they get married at the end. Like, when you just, like, know... the two characters are going to get together without ever having any kind of, like, real development together, where you just know they're going to end up together because this is a movie. Like, I hate that.
Okay.
And that's absolutely what Aquaman and Mira are, where it's like, oh, she's girl, and then they go to Italy or whatever, and they eat flowers, and now they're in love. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I knew.
I don't know. I want to see them kiss.
It's dumb.
I like watching people kiss in movies.
Well, you're a pervert, so not everybody's a pervert like you, Jackson.
It's good. It makes you feel good.
Like, I don't not like romance, but it's that the fact that we didn't earn this romance. We just did it, you know? Like, I don't think it's like girl doesn't like guy finds that hot, guy and girl end up together, and it's just like, I just fucking
so back in the day, it just didn't bring
anything new to the table.
Right. Back in the day, it used to be a like super big like fun trivia fact thing where you could be like, "Oh, can you name all the actors that have been in Marvel and DC movies?" You know? And it was like, "Oh, Halle Berry was in X-Men and Catwoman," and like I don't know, I can't think of another example that's older than like Iron Man. But it was like there was like a really small number.
The movie exists.
Yeah. But it was like it was like a really small number, and it was like a super fun like bar trivia kind of thing. Like, name 4 actors that have been in both Marvel and DC movies. But it's gotten so much less fun in the last like 5 years because there's so many of them now. But what I'm winding up to,
well, doesn't that make it harder?
Well, I mean, to name all of them, sure, but I mean, like, it's not like as special anymore.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, these 3 people.
But I think that Randall Park is the only guy who's been in a Marvel movie and a DC movie in the same year. Because he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he was in Aquaman, which came out 5 months apart from each other. And like, I don't think anybody's ever done that before. And Randall Park is cool and good, and
no one's gonna do it.
I think he should be in every movie. I really think that Randall Park...
Remind me who he plays in this movie.
He's the guy who's the, like, scientist on TV who's like, Atlantis! And they're like, didn't you get fired? And he's like, shut the fuck up!
Oh, yeah,
They're gonna go to war with us!
Oh, yeah.
And...
They sent back all our garbage!
And and he plays the, like, parole guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp that he does magic to. And he's like, how'd you do that? It's pretty good. I really think...
I love his character in Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good actor, and I like him very much. And I really think that he's going to be, like, somebody to watch. I think he's going to, like, pull a Paul Rudd sometime in the next few years and suddenly go from, like, a small, like, handsome but still, like, comedic character actor to suddenly becoming, like, a leading man in action movies.
Yeah. Like a goofy handsome to like leading man handsome.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I think
Paul Rudd was very much goofy handsome for a long time.
Right. I think he's gonna get his brig bake soon, and we'll get a Randall Park assance.
He's shake and bake.
Yeah, he's brig break very soon, and we'll get a Randall Park assance where he gets to be a superhero or alien or something, and
or James Bond or something.
Randall Park for James Bond is a good pitch. He's gonna get to be Batman.
Let me. I would love that. Okay, let me take a little look at my notes. Oh, I just wrote down, remember that scene in Ponyo? Because, they're, driving home, right. And then the huge wave comes, and it looks exactly like that scene in Ponyo where she's running on the wave next to the car.
And the big wave is so sick because it's, really quiet.
It is.
He just looks out the window, and he's like, oh, fuck. And it's just, huge wave, but you can't really hear it yet. And he's like, oh, my dad's gonna get waved. He's gotta help. It's good.
I gotta help him.
You don't want guys getting waved.
You don't?
You know who's good? Is that guy in King Orm's, throne room who's, the map guy. And he's, super weird, and he's got, scars all over his face. And you're just like, what's this guy's deal? You know the guy?
I don't remember this character at all.
He's not in it for very long. He's just the one guy who's like, sir, the whatever's they're planning to attack something. And he's twiddling around with a 3D map. But he's got a whole bunch of weird scars all over his face, and he's got a funky voice. And you're like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm interested in him. I want to know more. How do you get those scars?
Who the fuck are you, dude?
Yeah, I just think it's cool.
I want to pull a Bill and Ted and just be like, what the fuck is up, dude? What's wrong with you?
I like the fucking manta ray ships are super good.
Yeah, the ships are super fun. I mean, it does kind of collide into my problem with the whole place looking too alien, but that aside, they look very cool.
I mean, I don't know. I think there is something to be said about your point about it being futuristic while the society is very traditional, but I also don't think those things are necessarily mutually exclusive.
Yeah, I don't think they are either, but it's so weird. Because I don't want to say that this movie hates women, because I don't think that it does. I do think that every single character kind of does, though. Because the mother ran away from an arranged marriage, and then essentially was forced to have a child with the king, and then got murdered.
Yeah.
And then Mira is an arranged murder. An arranged marriage. And she's she shows up and she's in the pretty dress and she's like, no, I'm gonna help him. I don't think the movie hates women. I think every single character hates women, so it's just
you mean you think Atlantean society is kind of bass backwards?
Yeah, which is the point. But so why do they have unlimited energy then if they're fuck women? I
don't know.
Our society is fuck women, and we don't have unlimited energy, so...
I'm confused about this line of thinking, so I'm just gonna move on.
I don't either, I don't know. It's weird.
I like when they get out of the beach in slow motion. It's pretty sick.
It's pretty good.
There's that fucking rap song playing that turns into Africa by Toto halfway through.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. It's a good one. A really bad cover of Africa, it's cool. I like this is going back a little bit when they first...
Big white throne room is cool. I almost fell over in my chair. Sorry.
Goes back into... I don't like the big white throne room. I think it's not, because this whole movie is so colorful and cool, even if I don't particularly like the aesthetic of it being too futuristic. But then when you go into that weird hyper futuristic room and it's all white, it's why isn't it purple and blue and that dark colors like the rest of the world was? Why is it so weird and separate?
Because it's the throne room. This guy's above everything.
Thoughts.
He's above everything. He's
but he's very traditional. Why wouldn't his throne room be very traditional? Why wouldn't it look like his father's throne looked like?
Right. Yeah, it should have been purple.
Yes, sit down.
I don't think Jason Momoa is very good at comedy. He never has really. He never really has had to do that in any other role that I'm familiar with in any substantial way. And I can't help but feel like any other actor would be able to sell the jokes in this movie a lot better. None
of the jokes are funny.
They try to make him sort of quippy and snapbacky, where he's
he calls the Kraken a dick. Isn't
yeah,
that
exactly.
funny?
And he's like, "Oh, listen up."
Isn't
He
that
like has
funny?
little nicknames for people he calls them, and it's like, but he doesn't quite sell it. Like it never quite lands the way you want it to, and it feels a little bit forced and weird. I think he's funnier in Justice League than he is in this movie. As much as I hate Justice League, because they don't give him like jokes in Justice League per se. In Justice League, he just like kind of like reacts to things in a way that's funny. It doesn't require him to like deliver a joke. It just requires him to like act in the moment, and it's kind of funny just by nature of the circumstance.
Well, it's because in Justice League, I think it's because the dynamics are so different in Justice League to Aquaman, because like in Justice League, they're like a team like coming together, and he's like kind of at the bottom because they don't really know who he is. He's just like the strong silent type who doesn't want to be there, so he can like be like, fuck you, Batman, and that's funny. Versus when he's like the leading man who has to do stuff, and the girl's like, we should do a thing, and he's like, fuck Cliff, what, am I right? Like, it's not as funny.
No, it's not as good.
I can't see. I was trying to make fun of a joke that he makes in the movie, and I literally can't even think of
I
any
can't
of the jokes
remember what he
makes.
says. I just remember being like, Jason Momoa.
Well, I just know that anytime that he and her have a conversation in the desert, they play like these super happy like strings in the background of them talking every single time. And it's good. It's good. I like it.
I really like the little titles they put whenever you like enter a new like Atlantean kingdom.
Yeah,
it's like the little
fun.
yellow titles and like Times New Roman like centered at the bottom of the screen that says like the trench or whatever. You're like, hell yeah, I'm super into that.
What I think, two things that I think that are weird about this movie. One, we make a huge big deal back to them being super traditional. He can't like make a war. He can't declare war unless he's got all four of the leaders like backing him up. So that's what he's doing the whole movie. He's trying to get the leaders to like be on his side, either through like negotiating or through threatening or through negotiations with other leaders. Like that's what he's doing. And at the end of the movie, we're just kind of like, fuck the crab people, which is whatever.
I don't know
but
what you're
also
talking about.
Because after the crab people get destroyed by the Kraken, along with everybody else on the battlefield, they are not seen again. You know that scene where like all the mer people are like floating in the water? There's no crab people there, so I guess the crab people are just all dead now.
They just go home.
I
don't think they can swim. They're crabs.
But why... But then they don't know that there's a new king. Anyway, that aside.
It's loud.
But then second of all, the whole point is that like Aquaman is like the bridge between the land and the sea. Mm-hmm. And we don't deal with the land part of that.
I mean, that's fair.
At all. Like he stops the war, he stops his brother from declaring war and like killing all the people on the surface. But like we also don't stop the surface from killing whales and polluting the water or like negotiating with them at all. Like we don't do anything with the land. We're just like, ocean, don't attack people who are doing terrible things. And that's it. That's the movie.
Well, yeah, sure. But like I don't know. I don't think it's important. Like it's yeah, sure, maybe there's a version of the movie where they fucking afterwards they go to the land and they bust up the big corporations, I guess, but like
but they make such a big deal that that's like what they're doing. Like we stop everything to be like, this wasn't a natural disaster, this was an attack. They threw back all of our garbage and all of our warships. And they're like, Aquaman, you think your humans are so good, but they're corporations and exploitation and littering and fucking killing whales and overfishing. Like they have we keep bringing up these very fair and very real concerns that, like, people of Atlantis should be angry about, and I understand why this guy's like, hey, fuck the surface people, we need to go to war. And the like, resolution of the movie is that we just don't go to war, but there's no...
I mean, the stakes are very
resolution
clear.
Beyond
but
that.
To me, the stakes are very clear that a war between the surface and the ocean would mean, like, the end of the world. Like, it would be a horrible battle that would kill fucking trillions, and we would all be the worse for it. And, like...
But does that mean that we just shouldn't fix any of these very real problems?
No, we don't have to fix it in this movie right now.
But I'm just saying they don't even talk about. This movie gave me so much information about, like, 7 kings trillion years ago and all their alliances and stuff like that. Why can't you just have one little sentence where you're like, as king, I'll make sure that they stop it, but I'll do it the fisherman way. Like, what if Aquaman went up to the little mermaid princess, who I love with all my heart, and was like, yo, in your dad's memory, we're gonna start educating the people, like your dad that my brother killed would have wanted. And then they do that. That would have been great.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Because Mira is such a bad character because I didn't care about her the whole movie. But, like, the second that mermaid princess was on screen, I'm like, I've got so much pathos for her.
Right.
Like, she's not there. She doesn't do anything. But, like, the first time we see her, it's like her father is killed because he won't do what the guy wants him to do. And then she is suddenly in charge of the entire country. And she has to do this thing that she doesn't want to do, or like her mother's gonna get murdered, or she's gonna get murdered, or her whole people are gonna get murdered. So she's being forced to do this thing that she doesn't want to do. And like she has that one line where, like, during that big battle, where she just goes like, he has control of the trench people. Like, and you can just like tell like the fear in her voice because she's like 12 and this guy's commanding basically the army of the damned. Like, she's such a cool character. I love her.
Yeah, Keisha.
And she's here for like 12 minutes.
Keisha is illustrating why I'm weirded out by your point, which is that, like, I don't want this movie to be like a social political thriller. Like, she says that Adeline wants Fish
It's
Black.
It's not my fault.
Keisha says that Adeline wants Fish Black Panther, which is like what I don't want.
But I think this movie wanted to be that because first of all, Black Manta has super strong Killmonger vibes. And
wait, in what way?
Also, because they're both, like, avenging their fathers for, like, injustices in the past, and his whole thing is he's, like, avenging slavery, and then his whole thing he's avenging a very personal slight. It's very similar. That they're, like, doing bad things so they don't deserve to live kind of thing, and we kind of decide that that's wrong, even though this movie doesn't do that. This movie absolutely sets those things up, and me wanting them to resolve it, I don't think is unfair. If they bring up issues of war and pollution and how that's why these people want to go to war, you should resolve those problems in some way. It's not my fault for bringing it up.
Okay. I just don't care.
Dude, Jackson!
What do you want me to say?
I know you don't fucking care, but that doesn't make me wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't really care about any of that.
Okay, great. Fuck you. I don't care.
Why are you mad?
Because you don't care about the points that I'm making.
You don't care about the points that I was making. We're not going to change each other's
I said I like the colors. I said I like the Kraken. There's a lot about these things that I like, but the things that I don't like, I think are also important. I don't have to agree with you about all of them. But it's a valid argument. You can't just say I don't care, because then that stops the conversation.
I don't care.
Fine, whatever.
I'm telling the truth. I'm just being honest with our viewers.
Wow. Great.
I like the fucking trench monsters so much. And the bit where they're running away and they got the flare and they're like swimming down into the ocean with the flare.
Yeah, the part where they're underwater with the flare is very cool.
Sick. The movie's so sick. And you're trying to be a Debbie Downer about it. And I just want to like things, you know? Remember when the narwhals stabbed that guy?
Yeah.
Adeline, you're the one who's making a hostile environment now.
Remember when he uses his Aquaman powers to make all of their, like, horses kill them, basically?
Hell yeah. And the fucking... Okay, so then the Kraken is voiced by Julie Andrews, which is insane because, like, there are a lot of, like, old lady, like, British actors in Hollywood right now that are very much, like, will just go around for a paycheck, like your Helen Mirrens and your Judi Denches and your Glenn Closes, you know, that'll show up in like Artemis Fowl or Fast and Furious or whatever. They're just like game for whatever.
Unfortunately, they show up in Artemis Fowl.
But Julie Andrews is not like that. Like, she has not been in a lot of stuff the last like 20 years. And for some reason, Aquaman is the thing that's bringing her in so she can voice the Kraken. I think it's so cool. Mary Poppins herself.
She's here. She's a big Kraken fish thing.
And the Kraken feels so fucking huge when it comes out. Like, that whole battle at the end is so sick. And, like, the fact that, like, you can have, like a battle like that for in a movie. I'm still steamed that this movie didn't get nominated for a Best VFX Oscar over like something really stupid. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Shazam. I think Shazam got nominated for Best Effects over Aquaman, which I think is whack.
Did Shazam do anything cool with their visual effects?
Not really.
Like, I mean, didn't they do...
I
feel like I remember... I haven't seen Shazam yet, because I'm bad at watching movies, but... I feel like I remember someone saying something about the visual effects, that they, like, had to do something special, like there was something cool
Okay, so here were the nominations that year. It was Infinity War, fair. Oh, fucking Christopher Robin got nominated for Best Visual Effects over Aquaman.
I mean, but the visual effects were very realistic looking in Christopher Robin, lame. Even if they all looked like
and
nightmares.
Ready Player One.
I know Ready Player One got good reviews and people say it's good. I just need to swallow my pride and watch it. For some reason, I've got it in my head that it's a bad movie, so I'm just. I would nominate Aquaman. Excuse me. I would nominate Aquaman over Ready Player One. I would nominate it. You can't keep making that joke. Are you intentionally forgetting to make the joke, or are you actually forgetting? I would nominate
Aquaman over Christopher Robin over Ready Player One, and I would say over Infinity War. I think the creativity on display in Aquaman is so much more important than just the fact that like Thanos looks really good in Infinity War, you know?
But Thanos looks so good. Thanos looks good. He looks like a real guy, and I feel for him when he shows
even
emotion.
Still.
I don't feel anything for the shark when the shark feels emotion.
Fine. So I wouldn't nominate it over Infinity War, but still, over it losing out.
Who won that year? Was it Infinity War?
No, First Man did, which I think is earned because the effects look fucking awesome in that movie. That's another like really good like practical VFX integration kind of movie.
Because
they looked really good, and I would probably give it to First Man too. But anyway, there's a part in First Man where they're on like dune buggies on the moon, and they're just riding around. They're like, oh no, space pirates! And then like these other guys in another like moon buggy come around, and they're like Apollo 18 ass. They're like Apollo 18 ass like rickety old moon buggies, and they're in like big astronaut suits with like the visor and everything, and they're like shooting them with lasers and like crashing into their moon buggy. It rules. I like Ad Astra a lot. I saw it with Anna and she didn't really like it, but I think Ad Astra is quite good. Hey, it's Editing Jackson here, and I just want everybody to know that I just seamlessly transitioned from talking about First Man to talking about Ad Astra, seemingly without even realizing that I had done it. I don't know why I did that. I just got them confused, and I got mixed up. So, anyway, First Man won Best Visual Effects, not Ad Astra. And there are no space pirates in First Man. My bad, I'm very sorry. That's my hot take. Look, the thing about this movie, I mean, like I said, I don't really like all the Black Mana stuff and the desert stuff, and the Italy stuff I think is kind of fun. I like the big action sequence with like the wine knives and stuff. That rules. But because there's this part where Mira, who can like waterbend for no particular reason,
don't worry about it.
She like is in this like probably ancient Italian vineyard, and she probably breaks a whole bunch of like 300-year-old wine bottles, but just like takes a whole bunch of wine and like shapes them into like these fucking daggers that she like hooks at Black Manta. Super sick. And the target ball nunchucks are also very good. But other than that, the Italy stuff is not super great. But like,
you could put those things in, the cool things. You could take the cool things and put it in somewhere else and just make it tighter. Just make it tight.
I think the beginning all the way through the duel with King Orm rules, and I love the duel with King Orm. I think that like choreography is really fun.
Yeah, this movie, the choreography is very fun in this movie. It feels very much like the extended one shot, like all the hits connect and make sense. I think that's very cool.
And because James Wan is super good at that. He's good at like extended one take kind of things. Like we see that in The Conjuring almost as much as we see it in this movie. Like he thinks a lot in terms of like how much can I do with one shot without having to edit a lot or like cut between things. And And it's cool because a lot of the stuff in this, in like The Conjuring, it's just like a lot of regular one take shots, but in Aquaman, it's sort of like it's a lot of like really deliberate stuff that they like choreographed ahead of time, and like
choreography
that they like choreographed ahead of time and like stitched together with like visual effects, which I think is really cool. But anyway, I like the beginning all the way up until the duel, and the middle part's kind of lame, and then fucking the trench creatures all the way to the end is like all A+ for me. I'm like very sitting cool pretty stuff all the way through the last hour of the movie. Like hell yeah! Like
the like final
up,
battle
like,
with like the crab people is like very Dark Souls. It's very cool.
Yeah, the crab people are my favorite part of this movie. They are really good. And there's like this
Too bad they get fucking murdered by the Kraken.
I don't know why you think they get murdered. You didn't see what happened to them. They probably all went home.
They're on the battlefield, they're all fighting, and the Kraken comes through the earth where everybody is fighting and just fucking obliterates everybody on the battlefield, including the crab people.
It's behind the crab people.
No, it's not behind the crab people.
They're just sleeping. They went to a farm.
Well, because I was worried. I texted you when I was watching the movie. I was worried it's going to be like DC, like the superheroes are too preoccupied to like protect the people, so like people are getting like crushed and exploded and the world's ending while they're fighting. Right. I thought that's what it was going to be, and so I was just worried about the mermaid princess the whole time because I didn't know where she was, and I was afraid that the Kraken was going to step on her because the Kraken was stepping on everybody.
Right. I like when the Kraken steps on people.
And then the sharks revolted and started killing people.
I mean, look, I don't know. You were very, very caught up in, like, the actual, like, violence of it and, like, the death toll probably incurred by this insane battle. But, like, I don't think that's what they wanted you to be focusing on. Like, the movie is so outrageous and so heightened in general. What?
Mira has a line. Mira runs up to Aquaman and she goes, "There's already been too many deaths. I need to stop the fighting." They bring up the death count. But it's like an
abstract kind of thing. But they're not like pulling in and showing you like individual like stories. They're not like, making a meal out of like the tragedy of the loss or whatever.
But that's why
they want it to be like super sick. It's a plot motivator when she says like we have to stop.
When everybody fucking explodes, I'm gonna be aware of the fact that everybody fucking explodes.
But and not always.
But you tell me that one of them is a good guy, one of them is a bad guy, and then everybody fucking explodes. I'm gonna be like, well, what about the good guy? Did the good guy explode? And the movie doesn't tell me.
Because I don't think. I mean, I don't know.
I don't care, Jackson. I don't care.
Okay, then. Fine. I'm not gonna say it then.
And the conversation has ended.
I'm going to mute you, and I'm going to keep talking to the chat.
That's great. Yeah, no, you can keep talking about how amazing the movie is. Go.
You're muted. You can still hear
I
Adeline.
really like the,
No,
what?
Shush. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to mute you.
Turn your volume down on your computer.
I think it's super sick when Aquaman commands all the whales. Adeline, don't look at me. This part isn't for you. I think it's super sick when he commands all the whales and stuff fight the guys. And there's a part where he commands some narwhals to stab some guys through the chest.
I already said that really was cool. Sick. I like that part also.
I like when like all the sea creatures like get on his side and he starts controlling the trench people.
Yes, I like that also.
No, you're not. Adeline, this isn't part of you. Keep this a secret from Adeline.
I like that, but I like parts of this movie also, but they're just parts that I don't like, and I'm being silenced.
Shh, don't. You are eavesdropping, and it's very impolite.
I'm not.
I really like it when the Kraken fucking stomps on a bunch of guys. I think that's super sick. And I like Aquaman's muscles. And
yeah, just say you want to fuck Aquaman. That's what this boils down to.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before the end. I think the like spin move thing that they set up earlier that Willem Dafoe teaches him is a weird, lame callback that doesn't need to happen.
Didn't like that? You didn't love that, Jackson? That wasn't your favorite part of the movie where the weird spin move goes up? And then young Aquaman goes, "You're lying to me! Am I not worthy?" And he cries.
It's good. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily against, like, the beat when they're talking, but I don't think it needs to be a weird, like, there's so often these kinds of movies.
Move.
Yeah, like, they, like, introduce, like, some kind of weird move that the character can't do at first, and then they forget about it for 2 hours, and then when he can do it at the end, it's like, oh, remember? And it's never that good. I'm thinking of Kung Fu Panda 2. I'm thinking of, like, fuck, I know more movies have done it. I can't think of another good example of, like, times when they use, like, a special martial arts move as a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. Well, it's just, like, the most obvious way to show that they have progressed or gotten stronger or whatever. It's like, oh, they didn't used to be able to do this thing, and now they can do this thing. Like, it's just a really easy way to show that, you know?
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot, as I've been doing that big project where I'm watching all these direct-to-streaming movies, there's a lot of, like, early career, super low budget, like, not like indie movies, but, like, just tiny corporate sort of, I don't know how to describe exactly the kind of thing it is, but a lot of these, like, mediocre screenplays that get made have, like, an over-reliance on the, like, set-up payoff Chekhov's gun thing. And, like, a lot of the times movies that are very underwhelming and boring have, like, a whole bunch of those, like, callbacks and payoffs. And, you know, it's like one of those things that they tell you to do, and you're supposed to have those in a good movie. And, like, but
like
there's something weird about when there's too many of them, I guess.
Yeah.
And when they're not all equally satisfying, you know?
Yeah, it's like the frosting on the cake. When you have a good story,
right,
and then all of these things start to connect, it's like, oh, all of these things are starting to connect. That's so cool. But when your movie is bad or the story is not as strong, and they're like, remember when that cat was on a skateboard? The cat's on a skateboard again. And you're like,
right.
Wow, I didn't care about it then, and I don't care about it now. Like, it's like the opposite of Knives Out.
Right. I was watching Onward with Anna the other day.
Yes.
And that movie...
a good movie.
...runs the gambit of, like, types of Chekhov's guns you can have. Because, like, on the lowest end of the spectrum, the stuff that is annoying is, like, the mom doing that Zumba workout at the beginning. And then at the end, they, like, play the same music and she does, like, kind of almost the same move. And it's like, oh, remember? And you're like, that... I don't care about that at all. It's like literally completely uninteresting to me. And then like the coolest is like when he loses the staff and he has the splinter and then he makes the splinter super big to turn it into a new wand, because we've like established before that like the wand is like super splintery. And, like, they've established, like, the spell that he uses, and it comes together, and it's so creative and interesting and unexpected, and the way it clicks is so satisfying, and it rules. And then there's a lot of stuff in the middle that's like, oh, you know, he uses the spells that he learned earlier, which is, like, obvious, but still, like, reasonably satisfying, and not annoying, but, like, definitely, like, solid, I guess. And it's just, it's interesting thinking about the things that make a good setup and payoff and, like, what really works and what doesn't. And I'm still kind of trying to put exactly into words what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's tricky.
I think it has to mean something for the character that it's happening again. Like, it has to be a growth, kind of. Because, like, the mom doing the Zumba move is whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the character. Her character development has not been affected by Zumba. That was just something that she was doing at the beginning of the movie. Versus Ian learning how to use his magic powers and, like, putting those, like, fully to the test using all the information that we've been given. That's like, oh, hell yeah. And then he fucking catapults the sword through the dragon's heart, and you're just like, oh, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
That's so tight. Then you're like, hell yeah, you know?
Yeah, I think something that's important is when you execute the payoff, it's gotta be not just, like, if you're doing a martial arts move, it's not just like, oh, he did it, the thing that he couldn't do earlier. Or it's like, that was from earlier and he did it again. Like, if there is something clever or interesting about the thing he's doing outside of the fact that it is also a callback, it makes the fact that it's a callback that much more satisfying, I think.
Yeah, it has to do two things. It can't just be one thing, because that
which is
dumb.
Which is all to say that Aquaman doing that spin move is not that great. But
yeah,
one of the things that I think is like genuinely the coolest about this movie is how much like Maori stuff is in it, like native New Zealand culture. There's so many times where fucking Aquaman strikes like a Maori haka pose and like does a few moves of like traditional like native New Zealand like culture in it, and you're like, that shot probably cost $3 million. And it's like there's something so insane about this like multi-million-dollar haka that is like so cool. Yeah, it's like such a specific cultural thing that like almost basically never happens in a movie like this, you know? There's something really, really satisfying about watching it. And this movie is directed by James Wan, and it feels like there's just a lot of like Asian Pacific Islander sort of like influence on this movie as a whole, between the director and the, you know, the lead and his dad, and
we could have gone somewhere so much cooler than Italy.
Yeah, that's true.
We could have gone to anywhere cooler. We could have gone to Japan. It's an island. Yeah. It's surrounded by ocean.
It's fair.
We could have gone to China. Why did we go to Italy?
If you think about it, Japan is kind of a Pacific island also. If you think about it.
Yeah. If you think about it, and I am. I swear.
Okay. I think we're good. We want to wrap up on the multi-million-dollar haka?
I don't have that much money.
Okay. Do you think they call it agua hombre in Spanish?
I hope so.
Or like,
I always think it's so interesting.
I guess it would be like Los Hombre Agua.
Yeah. No, I love it when titles of movies are like different in other countries. Because you think like if the name is Aquaman, like wouldn't it just be like Agua Hombre? Like why wouldn't they just like literally translate it? But usually they like take the like 2-word thing and then they turn it into like a sentence that kind of conveys the same idea. Yeah. It's just so
something
funny.
That's more phonetically pleasing.
Yeah, or like it makes sense in the other language, or like something, if it's like an American thing, then they'll like try to explain it in like a different language. Like, but it's just funny. Like the original title will be like 2 words, and then like in Japanese or another culture or in another language, it's just like a full sentence.
Okay, so Adeline.
Yes.
How would you like to hear a 5-star review of Aquaman?
Isn't that what this has been?
It has been, but I gave Aquaman like 4 stars. This review comes from letterboxd.com. This person says, asterisk excuse me, let me take that again. This person says, asterisk electric guitar riff, asterisk bitch slap, asterisk pure epicness, 10 out of 10.
Who are they bitch slapping? Are they bitch slapping me?
Aquaman doesn't bitch slap anybody in this movie, so I don't know why he said that.
Maybe he wants them to? Maybe he watched Bill and Ted on accident and like reviewed at the wrong place.
Anyway, my name is Jackson McMurray.
My name is Adeline McMurray.
And this is No Nerds Allowed.
And there are no nerds allowed.
There are neither
except for Jackson.
There are neither bitch slaps nor electric guitar riffs in this movie.